I got a minute to myself out in the shop. What I'm doing is fixing a very, very old crosscut saw. This might be the oldest crosscut saw that I own. I've got the plate right here. I got this for $3 from an antique store. It has the I forget what they call that, the notch, the nib maybe, but I bought it for $3 because it was broken. The bottom had cracked. All these old crosscut saws have really ornate handles that if you drop them the wrong way, they're done for. So what I did is I cut a cherry handle, and you want to pay attention to the grain when you cut the handle out of a board. You want all of the grain running this way. If it's up and down, gonna snap immediately. So I kind of roughly tried to match the angle. I took a saw that I had that was a little bit of it was a similar pattern, and I'm gonna see if this holds up. I don't know what wood this handle is. A lot of these old crosscut saws that were made in the 1800s, they were made out of fruit wood, like apple, particularly apple. And what I'm doing now is just trying to carve this so it's comfortable. And I hope it's functional. I hope that it holds up to the abuse. Now, I used epoxy instead of wood glue, and my plan is, if I can dial this in right, I want to throw a dowel all the way through the handle. We'll see if that works out. Let's see. I have one. I'll show you. I got the idea from an old crosscut that I have. This is a Spear and Jackson, and look at that. It's actually got a rod. Or is that a rivet? I wonder if that's a rivet or a rod, or exactly what that is. It says non-breakable handle. I could guarantee you it's not non-breakable, but it's going to be a heck of a lot more durable than this handle was when it came from the factory. And you know, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought to myself, this is going to be a really hard project. I might as well make a new handle, but I mean, I was able to kind of get it acceptable. I used epoxy because I wasn't sure how close I was going to be able to get closing those gaps. And especially because it's such a weird angle. You'll never get a clamp on this. I mean, I used a screw clamp and kind of had to just pray, like, you know, hopefully that works out. So I'm carving this guy out. The only thing that I really kind of screwed up, and I'm wondering how to fix this, is when I drilled my dowel, I went just a little bit too far at the bottom there. But you know, that's fixable. And I tell you what, this is going to be an experiment. We're just going to see how durable this is. I used a cherry wood handle. I'm sure that this saw was originally handled with probably pear or apple. I think apple. Applewood trees have been used. I mean, that's a very traditional American handle species. So much was made out of apple. I packed away my Mora carving knife, and so I'm using a Dexter Russell, which, boy, this is great. This is one of the last good and cheap knives that you can buy in the US. They run it a little bit on the softer side. I do believe that it is 1075 steel. And they run it, I think, to about 56 Rockwell or so. So it's going to be just slightly on the softer side. I'm trying not to be too rough when I carve here, because I really don't want to test how cured this epoxy is. But let me show you the hardware here. This hardware is awesome. Now, one thing, if you ever see hardware like this, you know your saw is really, really old. Just from across the room, you can tell that your saw is probably from the 1800s. Let me get it here. I got it in some degreaser. The patent for this saw connection, this hardware, is 1867. If you can see, oh, there you go. 1867. And this is a split nut. Makes it kind of tough to put on and take off. And they sell special tools for it. But you know what I did? I had a grinder wheel that's just about the right thickness. And I snapped the tooth off to create some space. And once you do that, this grinder wheel is a great little key for it. Injun and Zaruri, what's up, guys? So now this isn't a Diston or any of the really nice sought-after crosscut saws. This is, here, I'll show you the medallion here. This is kind of funny. You see that? You look at the eagle. Now it says warranted extra, which I think is kind of funny. All the old Diston saws, they would say warranted superior. And this is it might have been made by Diston, but branded under somebody else's name. It says warranted extra. So I think that's kind of funny. But we're gonna get this handle shaped up here. Now I didn't have some apple wood, so we're using what we have, which was a pretty decent board of cherry. I'm curious to see how this turns out. Cherry carves so nicely. You just look at how those shavings come off there. So nicely. Really, really nice. Cherry is just, and man, I gotta figure out a way to carve this curve without either splitting out the handle or slicing myself. Now, this is generally not a safe way to carve when the blade is unsupported. But as long as you keep your knife under control, you're all right. There are so few rules in working with your hands like this. Now, getting that curve established there is what I'm trying to do. Now, I packed away my foreign hand. Let's see if I can get you down here to where I'm going to be shaping this guy. I love watching lumbermen. Yeah, love the working craftsmanship. Well, I do too. You know, I definitely don't consider myself a lumberman. I work with lumber and I chainsaw mill and I do all that. But I'm definitely not a professional in that regard. But I do too. There's nothing quite like somebody that really knows what they're doing in that area. Let me see if I can get it maybe right here. Now, what I don't want to do is tweak it too much. So I'm having some trouble shaping this curve without putting too much torsion on the handle because this epoxy is not cured yet. Not cured at all. It's maybe 4 hours old. So it's set, but it's definitely not cured. You can kind of see the shape of that handle. Hi, but do you have a favorite wood though? Yeah, a favorite wood, that's like, do you have a favorite kid? You know, I love hickory. Hickory's amazing. I love white oak. Cherry carves beautifully. That's why I picked cherry out for this handle. Cherry is just an excellent wood. Man, that's tough to answer. You know, I try to look at what I'm going to be doing with the wood. And then from there, I try to select what is the best species. You know, for instance, if you're doing something outside, then you want to look at a white oak or a cedar. I mean, for most things, cedar's hard to beat, but if you're making a tool handle, you know, you want something that's shock absorbent, that's strong, that's, as light as you can get it without sacrificing strong and shock absorbent. Man, for anything you're going to carve, cherry. Cherry is beautiful. Mahogany is beautiful to carve, beautiful to work with. A lot of old colonial furniture in the U.S. is made out of cherry because it carves so nicely. It is such an excellent wood. to work with. So all of the trim details that would have been hand carved back then, that's all going to be cherry. You know, one wood that I'd like to try out is Osage orange. You know, you look at how nicely that carves. Really, really easy to carve wood. You know, I usually carve with a Mora knife, the Mora Sloyd or the Mora Carver, but this Dexter Russell here is just a great knife. It has a walnut scales, high carbon steel. Green River works. You know, if you guys hear in the context of the Old West, something's up to Green River. Green River made excellent trade knives. And the natives wanted the Green River trade knives. They didn't want knives made by anybody else. And so if you said something's up to Green River, what you were saying is it's up to the standard that the Green River Knife Company was producing. They had a very good reputation. So I'm sure this is apple. I would bet that an apple is, you know, one of the things, carving is a lost art nowadays. Yeah. Hey, Samira, what's up, man? Carving is absolutely a lost art. Everybody's got high volume CNCs and computer technology. Carving, though, I tell you what, I can immediately tell when something is hand carved. It's not perfect. And I think there's something to be said about how this is a human art. You know, why do we make things beautiful? Not to get too philosophical about it, but what is the purpose of making something beautiful? Well, you know, you appreciate that somebody took the time to invest in a skill and then make something for you from the effort that they invested to get good at it, you know? And so it's you buy it because it's got some soul in it. Not because it's mathematically perfect. There's a guy out there, Peter Follensby, who is an excellent carver. I mean, wow, he is just incredible. He's the kind of guy that can sit down, draw out a template, and just make you something that you'll sit there and look at for hours. The detail, the intricacy is so well done. We can apply that AI stuff to, oh yeah, AI is, if there's something about human nature that I've learned over the course of my lifetime, is we want stuff to be cheap and fast and convenient. We don't really care about whether, you know, whether it's necessarily beautiful or whether it supports the values that we want to see in society. We just kind of want it now. You know, I want my stuff now. Whereas, you know, if you go to somebody, they might say, well, I can have it ready in, you know, 3, 4, 5 months. I had an axe custom made, and I think it took about four months to get to me, which I thought was lightning fast. Anymore, when you buy just a production axe, that's nice. You're gonna wait a year or more. So I thought this guy was lightning fast. But you know, your average person wants to put it in their Amazon cart and order it, you know, because it's like that's kind of the way our economy works. It works on like little dopamine hits. And when you push that button to add it to your cart, it's like, oh yeah, just a little shot of dopamine, you know? We're all kind of like addicts. And maybe I'm just talking about myself in particular. But yeah, I gotta watch out for that, because it's like you want the dopamine to come from doing the thing and not necessarily, can we see the axe? Yeah. Yeah, check this out. I redesigned this axe. I didn't design it because it's a very old, very established pattern. It's called the Coachmaker's axe. And I wanted it. From the second that I saw one, I thought this is perfect for what I do. It's got a couple special features. It's cupped. And what this does, the cup prevents the wood from breaking out, from splitting out when you carve. It's excellent. It is so excellent. So if you're working with wood where the grain gets a little squirrely or it's not perfectly continuous, it is so nice for that. And then it's got a beard. The only thing I did to this is carve the handle. Carve the handle out of ash. This beard is very functional. It's a beautiful axe, but that is actually a functional feature. It adds the weight back. If all of the weight is out here, that's going to stress your shoulder and your wrist. This is a 3-pound axe. I mean, most full-size, or not most, but a lot of full-size axes are 3 pounds. So this is 3 pounds, but the beard, setting the weight back, it balances the axe head. So when you use it, it doesn't stress out your wrist. And this would have been used by coachmakers that make wedges and they fashion out parts for a carriage. This would have been used, all throughout England, all throughout the 1800s, the US too, but you don't really find many of these axes in the US. I've never seen an American-made coachmaker's axe. I don't know why that is. Maybe we got enough from England. Maybe we just never gonna find that at Home Depot. Yeah, and I tell you what, that's one of the reasons. Man, I try not to buy tools that I try not to buy tools for woodworking at Home Depot if I can avoid it. I was actually just at Home Depot today looking for some gutter screws to fix my gutters. But when you go in there, it's just the they have very few tools where when you pick it up, you think, yeah, somebody put some thought into that. Somebody designed that. There was a human being that actually sat down and thought, what do I want this tool to do? And then they built it. They're all just kind of thoughtless. Whatever, throw it away when it's broken. Or maybe it just gets a little ugly. It's just not anything that inspires somebody to think, man, that's beautiful. But I tell you what, when I pick up that coachmaker's axe, I think to myself, I better do something with it that is equal to how beautiful it is. It's inspiring. It is so wonderful. Now I'm just gonna establish the curve in this handle here. And I tell you what, there's fresh epoxy here, so one thing I don't want to do is torque. But if you guys are into carving or maybe not into carving, you make stuff square before you round it over. And so I want to establish the curve here before I touch the edges. Because if you don't, it's going to be all lopsided and kind of strange looking. So we're going to get that there. Just want to even it out a bit. It's coming along okay. When you pick this up, you're going to say that's a repaired handle. Or tote. No, what do they call it? There's so many weird names for woodworking tools like this. I can't. No, that's the handle on a hand plane. The tote is the handle on a hand plane. That's right. I can't remember. So I either want to clamp it totally on the one side or the other. Oh, you're more of a sculptor. Oh, you work with stone? No way. So what kind of stone? Is it like marble or sandstone or granite? That's cool, man. I tell you what. Stonework, wow. That right there is... You think about how old carving, sculpting stone, or do you say carving or sculpting? I suppose you'd say sculpting stone. People have been doing that for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. That's just incredible. I love that. We have some really good granite close to me in Atlanta. Stone Mountain is where all of the granite comes from. Most of Washington, D.C., all of those monuments were actually built with granite from Stone Mountain. So if you look at the Washington Monument, if you look at, like the National Mall, if you look at all of those marble statues, like something like 60 or 70% of that marble came from Georgia. Came from Stone Mountain, no. The granite came from Stone Mountain. The marble comes from further north, in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Yeah, that's right. So pretty cool. So we've got a very old crosscut saw here, and I'm pretty excited about it, honestly. It'd be a D8. It's like a D8 type saw, like the Diston D8. It might have been made by Diston, honestly. There were so many catalog companies that had a company build a product that they then wanted to sell through their catalog. So I think this is probably a store brand saw. Stanley did the same thing. They made a lot of tools for people. Craftsman tools, they're like that. You'd have a Craftsman made by 50 different companies. My energy is contagious. Oh, I appreciate it, man. Hopefully in a good way. I like lime. It's easier for my hands and my pockets. Oh, man, I bet. Some of that stone, it's unbelievable how expensive it can be. You look at a countertop, and if you're looking at a quartz or a granite countertop, my goodness. That makes me want to get into the granite countertop business. So this curve down at the bottom here is kind of what's a good starting project for woodworking? Oh, you can make a mallet, you can make a tool tote, like an old style wooden carpenter's box. Although I think just as good is finding some old furniture on the side of the road and fixing it up. I'll show you what I found the other day. Check this out. This is pretty cool. I found this on the side of the road. It's a magazine rack, but it's solid quarter sawn white oak. And I had to go over and finish it, refinish it, plane it down a little bit. You learn a lot about woodworking when you fix stuff up. And then you see how it's made. And you look at the joints, and you look at, is this a loose joint or a tight joint? You might think to yourself, that worked out really well, or that didn't work out well. I think fixing up some old furniture is a great way to get into woodworking. Oh, nice, man. All right. Well, I appreciate it, Gaurav. That's awesome, man. From India. That's pretty cool. Man, we have some really good Indian food. Well, I guess you'd have to tell me whether it's good or not in Atlanta. And I had never had really good Indian food, from people who are from India. Oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. We have a restaurant near me that I can't get enough of. Indian food's amazing. Always wanted to try woodworking. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I'm fixing this saw. If you fix a handle on a crosscut saw, that's kind of a little bit more advanced, but you can find these crosscut saws all over the place. They were made from, like in that form, probably the 1850s all the way through the 1970s. So there are thousands and thousands of them out there, and you really don't need a whole lot more than a crosscut saw, maybe a smaller saw, maybe a tenon saw once you get into joinery, a couple of chisels. And it's getting hard to find cheap chisels these days. Poor quality chisels. Our metal technology is so good that and heat treating it's really not that difficult. So you can buy some cheap chisels. And I tell you what, I bought a pair of Hirsch Two Cherries chisels, probably about 10 or 15 years into my woodworking. What's up, Gogo? Into my woodworking journey. Let's see, if you come, if if at all you come to India, you're most welcome to visit my place. Whoa, yeah, that'd be amazing. I'd love that. I'll take you up on that. So I thought to myself, I kind of tricked myself. I'm like, man, I bought these chisels for $8, 10, 12 years ago, and I have been using them forever. And they're just too cheap, I told myself. I said, there's no way that these are good chisels. And I bought a set of Hirsch chisels. Some Hirsch, they call them firmer chisels, but they're not really firmer chisels. And Hirsch, Two Cherries, same company as Two Cherries. They're German made. And I spent like $170 on them. And I thought, I'm going to invest in some really good chisels. And they were no better than the set of chisels that I had been using for years. I mean, the level of finish was slightly higher, but I mean, I returned them. I ended up returning them because I said, these don't do any. In fact, I like them less. I don't think they're as good as the cheap chisels. It seems like a good skill to be proficient in. I made a cutting board a while back and I've used it every day for about a year. Yeah, and if you think about how much you use it versus, you know, the time investment, I mean, incredible. Like you're directly improving your life, and you know what went into it. You know that it's not going to be anything that's toxic. It's just going to be quality. The best oil for polish. Well, what are you polishing? I guess that'd be kind of the question. You know, I use a lot of natural linseed oil. I really like linseed oil because it polymerizes, meaning it kind of hardens. And over time, it just gets darker and darker and nicer and nicer. So I really, really like linseed oil. But I'll use tung oil too. Tung oil is great. And there are some guys that kind of turn up their pinky. Like, oh, I use tung oil. And I only use tung oil. And I always kind of think that's funny. I just gave myself heck when I used tung oil for the first time. Because what I did is I love the smell of tung oil. Tung oil is, it smells to me like chocolate, like a food. And so it smells amazing. I went around to all of my axes and I had a rag with tung oil on it and I just wiped down all of my axes. Well, the problem is tung oil is a heavy polymerizing oil and it just sat on top of the linseed oil that I had on my handles already, and it left, you know, when you get a cast iron pan that you put too much oil in it and then you season it, it did the same thing, but to my axe handles. And thankfully, it hadn't been on there for a long time, and I was able to take some mineral spirits and just wipe it all down. But oh my gosh, I tell you what, I learned my lesson there. See, you can apply and reapply linseed oil as many times as you want, and it doesn't tend to polymerize in the same way as tung oil. Tung oil is excellent, but it's more like a furniture polish. Tung oil works beautifully, but I applied it incorrectly. It's nothing wrong with tung oil. I applied it wrong. With tung oil, you're going to apply it like once, and that's it. And it's good. It's good forever, unless it gets, you know, wet or seriously, you know, used up. How often do you have to reapply it? Well, tung oil you want to do like once, and then you're done. Linseed oil, you can apply linseed oil every day, and it's not gonna be that much of a problem. I mean, you can get ridiculous with it. I guess if you did it every day for a long time, you'd have a problem. But with tung oil or with linseed oil, it's very forgiving, extremely forgiving. I think it's thinner, you know. And they used to the army used to coat M1 Garands with tung oil. Beeswax is great. Yeah, beeswax is awesome. But then once World War II happened, it all came from East Asia. All the tung oil came from East Asia, and when the Japanese did their thing, we couldn't get tung oil anymore, and so they had to switch to linseed oil. And a lot of the tung oil guys will say, oh, well, they used to coat M1 Garands in it, and so it's better. They only switched to linseed oil after the tung oil became available. And it's like, yes, I mean, that's true. But the thing is, think about a rifle stock versus an axe handle or a tool handle. You want a rifle stock to be waterproofed, just as waterproofed as possible, especially if you're going to take it out into the jungles and you know, get it wet. You're out in the field, it's raining, you're in a foxhole somewhere, and you're not going to be swinging the rifle repeatedly like an axe. And so a tung oil is wonderful for a rifle stock, but once you get down to something like something like an axe handle where it's repeated friction on your hands. You don't want it to be as heavy. And so that's what I like about linseed oil. It's forgiving and it doesn't polymerize heavily. Good starting tools, get yourself a crosscut saw, like one of these guys. Get yourself a good set of chisels. What else would you need? Man, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can find. I acquire tools as I find a good deal on them. I'll be honest. Throughout my life, I've bought tools whether I need them or not, if they are a good price. And I kind of stand by that, because when you're buying things on the secondary market, you can't always say, I want a good hand drill. And so I'm going to go to the antique store and there's going to be a good hand drill at a good price. It's like, no, you're at an auction, or you're at a thrift store, or you're at a garage sale. And it's like, wow, there's an awesome tenon saw. And I don't need a tenon saw right now, but it's $5 and I might need one later. Yeah, I pick it up. And I will say very, very seldom is there a tool that I regret buying that way. If I don't use it and I'm never going to use it, I'll give it away. But it was $5-10. How long have you been at it? Well, I started woodworking maybe, I suppose it's been about 12 years ago now where I really started woodworking. And about maybe 12, 15 years ago, I got into hand tool woodworking more seriously just recently. And I got into hand tool woodworking because what I found is there's a lot of jobs that you can do with a hand tool. Oh, what's up, Kurt? How you doing, man? I got into hand tool woodworking because there's so much out there that you can do cheap and easier and faster with a hand tool versus buying the industrial equipment to do it, like edge jointing boards for a table. You can go out and buy an industrial planer and you can spend $6,000-7,000 on it. And then you got to store it, you got to maintain it. Or you can just get a good, maybe Stanley number 5. And there you go. So I think absolutely, in a way, I think there's never been a better time to be a hand tool woodworker, because I'm not making 50 tables in a year. I'm making 10, 12. I'm making other projects. There's some stuff that I think I'm really happy that I do have, like a table saw. I'm really happy I have a table saw. What inspired you to do woodworking? Existential angst. I don't know. Fear of death, having no skills. I don't know. For me, it's something I always wanted to do it. Woodworking goes way back into my family, way back. My family, they are, I got half of them came from Italy. And the other half came from, they were Germans, but they moved to Russia. And I never knew about this until recently, but there were all kinds of problems with that border region along the southeast of Russia. And the Russians wanted to move in a bunch of Germans to go and act like a buffer. Tough people, very tough people. Anyways, they emigrated to the U.S. and they settled on the Great Plains, which is smack dab in the middle of the United States. And it was like very, very harsh conditions. They had to do everything themselves. They made musical instruments. They built their own houses. I mean, they did everything. And so I think it's kind of in my blood, but it was kind of sleeping for a while. It had to come out. A lot of what drove me into woodworking is just not being able to buy new stuff. I mean, really, to be honest, it's just like, holy cow, everything's expensive. But then figuring out how can I make that, and what's up, man? So figuring out how can I make that. So there you go. Now the handle that I templated this off of, it's a little bit thicker here. So I'm going to see if I can fix that. But, I mean, it's comfortable. You can make stuff customizable. Oh, yeah. Hey, man. Kurt, you would love this knife. This is a Dexter Russell. I forget what this knife is called, but it's high carbon steel. Really, really nice. I've been loving it. This actually came from a buddy of mine. I don't know if you know Kevin. He sent this to me, and it is a heck of a knife. I love it. It's just so great. It is slicing through this cherry just like butter. So nice to use. This thing takes an absolutely wicked edge, and it's very easy to maintain that edge, which I think is just as important. You know, the more steels that I use, the more I keep coming back to high carbon steels. I think there's a reason why so many woodworking tools, just simple utilitarian tools, are carbon steel. Easily maintainable. But yeah, Kurt, you can get this knife. I don't know what it would cost to ship it to Australia, but this is like a $15 knife. Yeah, man. I love it. It's so great. It's yeah, excellent. They make I think they make a couple of skinning knives. I bet you'd like too. Oh, you have one of them. I changed the scales to Tasmanian blackwood. No way. I am so jealous of all of those hardwoods you have over there, Kurt. I'd love to try out a gum handle one of these days. Just incredible. I almost ordered one. I had them. I ordered it, and I ordered, I think, 3 handles just to kind of make the shipping worth it. And then the company said, sorry, we can't fulfill your order. And they canceled it. So I almost had some gum handles. Yeah, what should I do to this to make it a little bit, I don't know, it might be a little bit too thick here. I think I need to accentuate that curve a bit. I think it is just a little bit too fat there. You know, those old handles are so ornate. It's incredible. The work that they put into making them beautiful. But back then, you might have had one saw. Maybe you had 2 saws. So you wanted your one saw to be special. And they were far more expensive. You know, a weird thing happened to I've used a few gum species. Kurt says, guys, if you don't know Kurt is one of the best axemen on YouTube. I mean, truly, go check out his channel. I've used a few gum species, and my longtime bush knife has ironbark scales. Wears like iron and beautiful grain. You know, Kurt, there was a guy who was telling me on my last live stream that some of the wood that he cuts in Australia sparks his chainsaw chain. Which, I mean, that blew me away. I mean, that's pretty wild. I mean, that's why they built the Tasmanian pattern axe, because even the biggest, beefiest axes that we have here in North America, I mean, they don't even compare. You need some. I mean, North American axes were bigger and beefier than European axes at the time, but even so, they were not big enough for Australian species. So I mean, if that tells you anything about what they're cutting in Australia. And also Australia, another thing I know about Australia is they are the only continent, or I guess you could say it's not continent, but it's they're the only country to use hardwood in their newspaper paper. Because are there softwoods in Australia? I think there's just hardwoods in Australia. In one of my vids, Matt Baugh found a scene where you can see a spark come off the wood while I'm using an axe. That's unbelievable. That's so cool. And they logged with axes in Australia. I mean, as longer probably than they did anywhere else, because of how remote the territory is. It's just incredible. I mean, those early saws that they had for logging were huge. And the territory in Australia, as I understand it, I'm not an expert, but this is just from what I've read over the years, it was just easier to go in with an axe and a crosscut saw. And they had enough skilled lumbermen in the area that they could do it that way. Whereas in North America, they had accessibility to cut railroad tracks and roads, logging roads, and all of that. It's just, there are some areas that are very remote and difficult to get to, but nowhere near like Tasmania. So just a very, very cool country. Yeah, so we're kind of fixing that handle here. Must be very interesting to use woods in Australia since the continent was isolated. I wonder how the tree life evolved. Yeah, I mean, probably evolved on its own in exactly the way that it wanted to evolve. You know, it kind of had that luxury. Although, I mean, wasn't New Zealand at one point part of Australia? Again, I'm not an expert, but I think at some point they were joined. So very, very, very cool continent, very cool country. Yeah, so now yeah, it's coming along. It's coming along. I hope it holds. A lot have evolved to be very hard and fire resistant. Many use fire to open the seeds. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, wow, that's crazy. You know, in Australia, I believe the Bushmen, I think you'd call them, I don't know what the appropriate term is, they never used the bow. They never used the bow. They only used atlatls, which is pretty wild. You know, there's a theory that the reason that the Native Americans switched from atlatls to the bow is because during the end of the Ice Age, all of the large herbivores died off, and the atlatl was no longer a good weapon to hunt because you needed now something that was faster, more accurate, smaller targets. Now you're not hunting a mammoth, you're hunting a gazelle or a deer or an elk. And atlatls are really designed. I mean, you throw an atlatl spear. I mean, you're hunting something huge with an atlatl, and you can put a lot of force behind it. And so they, as I understand it, Australia never used the bow. The bush people didn't. They used atlatls, and still maybe do to this day. So we're getting it. We're getting it. You know, I don't want to create the same weakness in the handle that it had when I got it. This is just what you were told. It's on you whether you want to take it as truth or... Oh, you know, in the Aesir. You know, I read a book called The Twilight of the Aesir, Norse Viking. I have a replica coin from Harald Hardrada inside. I wish I had it with me. What an amazing time period. Inevitably, my live streams end up devolving into Norse mythology. But I don't know. I don't want to wear out anybody's patience here. But I don't know. I don't know what you're referring to. Or maybe if you're even talking to me, Norse Viking. I know some people kind of just like to pop in and tell you that you're wrong or you're a jerk or you don't know what you're talking about, and then they just leave. But yeah, so I don't know what you're referring to there. But yeah, I'm reading a book now on Norse mythology, and it's pretty wild. I mean, Norse mythology is just like bloodlust. Incredible how violent that culture was. Given the fact though that it was a violent time, maybe that's why they survived. But you know, in their story, they had you know, the rivers were created by stabbing this big ox, and all of his blood flowed out and created the rivers, and they had to kill these ice giants for, like, honestly, they don't really provide a reason. It's just like they had to kill them because, as one does, he commits genocide when, you know, and then this ox, I think it was, licks mankind out of the ice, and it's like, okay, I mean, they're amazing, but holy cow, they're violent. I mean, that was Norse mythology. Like, people don't really understand that the Norse raided because usually the way it would work is it's a tribal society, right? They didn't have, I'm the father, I'm the monarch, I pass down my crown to my son. They didn't have that. You were king on your own 2 feet with your sword and your axe. And you became king usually by defeating the old king. And so if you had some young upstart guy who is wanting to make a name for himself in battle, maybe he thinks that the king is getting a little too comfortable, there'd be some conflict. The guy would get kicked out, and then he'd go raid England. I mean, that's kind of how that would happen. It was very tribal. Tribal societies are extraordinarily violent. They are the most violent sociological structure. It was the same way with the Native Americans. One of the reasons that, hey, mountain men, one of the reasons that we can never make peace with the Native Americans on the plains is because you'd always have some young warrior who would split. He wouldn't want to make peace, and so he wouldn't sign the treaty, and his followers wouldn't sign the treaty, and he'd just go leave. Well, he'd still be at war with the cavalry, and the cavalry would think, hey man, I thought we had peace. Why did you attack us? Why are you attacking settlers? We signed a peace treaty with your tribe. And then they'd say, no, but he didn't sign that peace treaty. And there was no cultural mechanism to bind the whole group of people to one peace treaty. I imagine it was the same way with the Vikings. Oh, what am I working on? I'm working on I bought an very old crosscut saw, and the handle had snapped. And so I carved a replacement, doweled it in there, epoxied it in there, and I'm hoping it'll hold. But this is the saw that it goes onto. Let's see if I can fit that in there. Yeah, so here's the saw. It's a zebra saw now. But this is a pretty cool old saw. It's got split nuts on it. Split nuts. And man, these things are fragile. But these are patented 1867. It says the patent on there. I don't know that this is an 1867 saw, but that technology was patented in 1867. So I'm hoping it holds. I want to put a dowel all the way through just to kind of tighten everything up because I do want to use it. I really do want to use it. But I love these old tools that have evidence of repairs and all sorts of stuff. My favorite one-man bucking saw is up on the wall there. Somebody broke the handle on it, and so he just took a handle off a crosscut saw, and then the metal handle at the end, because it's a 4-foot saw, he just smashed a pipe, cut a hole down it, cut a curve down it, and then drilled a hole so he could bolt it onto the saw. So it's just a smashed, probably gas pipe or something. Yeah, definitely dowel it all the way down. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And I'm using, I don't know, mountain men, if you've ever used one of these Dexter Russell knives, they apparently make, do you guys mind if I have a cigar? I feel like I kind of want one, but I don't want to be rude. And I think some people can kind of be, I don't know, but I'm feeling like I'm in my shop. And so I want to grab one. I'll be right back. Hold on here. I don't want to leave the scene. So, anyways, so I feel like it was just a better era when we fixed our own stuff when it broke. And it gives your stuff character. You know, it really does. So. So we got it going. But, man, I've been listening to, do you guys listen to Dry Creek Wrangler School? Whenever I listen to that guy, it always kind of makes me want a cigar. My dad, every now and then, would have a cigar, a Maduro cigar. You know, like a dark one. Man, my problem right now, Kurt, you were right, man. I am missing my tools. I packed them all away. And, oh gosh, I want to use my four in hand, but I packed them all away. And so I can't. So instead I'm trying to use, this is just a circle file. Lights with a bullet. Well, I know, and I can't find, I had a butane lighter out here somewhere, but I don't know. So we're getting this nice and carved in here. I punched my dowel through the bottom of the handle. I didn't account for the fact that I'm going to carve a curve into there. And so that's kind of a little bit of a bummer. But I wonder if I can even put my dowel through there so I can fix it. All right, Zaruri, thanks, man. Yeah, so we're going to keep working. Kurt, what are you up to, man? You were building trails last time, and it hasn't been that long. Are you still working on those trails? And Mountain Man, what's up with you, dude? So we're going to get this dialed in here. So we found a place in Wisconsin. We put an offer on a house, and so we're going to close. Hopefully the bank doesn't give us too much of a hard time giving us a mortgage. But we got a place. When we saw the house, when we were doing like a remote thing, the realtor just Zoomed us or whatever, there was a black bear in the backyard, which was kind of cool. Programming them CNCs. Bought some good ash to make a few handles. Nice. You know, I have noticed that, I don't know if it's because of the ash borer, but the quality of ash is really good at my lumberyard. I mean, really good. Like every now and then there'll be species that have the quality, like especially walnut and cherry and things like that, depending on the batch. It's either okay or not so okay. But the ash lately, almost every single time, has been wonderful quality. Been raining, work slowed down a bit, but when it gets up again, I'll be doing some spraying, I think. Yeah. Yeah, things have slowed down here a lot too. I mean, it's especially in the last few weeks, I've noticed it's really slowed down here. Really slowed down. Everywhere is pretty slow. You know, it takes a while. Black bear in the backyard. Yeah, big black bear. So it takes a couple weeks, if not months, for the international trade stuff to really work its way through the system. And so yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens with that whole deal. Apparently we got a trade deal with England this week, which is great. You know, at least we're working on it. I hope we get trade deals with everybody else sooner rather than later. Just kind of get that over with. China's going to be the big stickler, obviously. So once we get that hammered out, hopefully everything just goes back to normal-ish. As normal as it can be. I mean, I don't know. I don't think we've had normal since about 2016. What's normal anymore? You know, I just think that I think we're heading back to the era when you need to fix your own stuff versus it's cheap and readily available so you can buy it. You know, and so I'm trying to prepare myself for all of our sinks distributors have gone up 20%. You know what I've noticed, Mountain Man, is that across the board, stuff seems to be just 30% more expensive. Mathematically, you can look at what it cost before and what it costs now, and it's all 30% more expensive. Which, I mean, that makes manufacturing real hard. And I don't work in manufacturing. You know, I make stuff, but I don't, manufacture stuff. This cherry is carving super nice. I'm happy with it. I really want my four in hand. I still want my four in hand, but I bought about 6 of them. I bought a Swiss four in hand. I wanted to just compare them all. I bought a 4 Chinese 4-in-hands because they were all dirt cheap. It was like 4 of them for $6. I bought a German 4-in-hand, and I bought an old American 4-in-hand. And it was kind of interesting. I mean, the Swiss 4-in-hand is amazing. The quality is just incredible. All the Swiss files are good. Everything here is crazy expensive now too. That's in Australia. Imported stuff always has been, but it's even worse now. Yeah, well, Australia there's a lot that comes to Australia from China, right? I mean, it's closer than a lot of stuff. Granite slabs are almost all imported. I should send you my old Keen Cutter 4-in-hand. Oh, Keen Cutter 4-in-hand? You know, Keen Cutter, I love Keen Cutter. Keen Cutter is one of my favorite old tool companies. I like Keen Cutter. I like their saws are wonderful. Their axes are wonderful. They made just quality tools the whole way through. Let's see, who else? I think Pexto. I like Pexto chisels. Pexto are amazing. I like those old Stanley number 40 everlasting chisels. Those are great. You know, there's Pexto draw knives. I think are phenomenal. I've definitely developed a preference for, depending on the tool, I like a specific brand for. But I tell you what, I've never even seen a less than stellar Keen Cutter tool of any kind. I mean, they never made junk. They never made junk. What a great company. Let's see. I'm hoping I don't crack this, but man, that's my concern with this. The epoxy isn't quite dry yet, and so I'm trying to be just a little bit ginger. But we're gonna get her. I don't want to get too greedy with these curves, but I do like a nice shaped handle. Just gonna get that file down there. Check out the axe I just got, buddy. Old 100-year-old Keen Cutter on original handle. Whoa. It's my second latest short. Man, I'll check that out. Wow. I love those original handles too. I want to collect a bunch of original handles so I can have templates. I mean, one day I'd like to get a copy lathe, like a duplicator lathe, and start making handles. But that's a tough business to be in these days because there's so much competition between Liam Hoffman and Whiskey River now is going full bore, and there's East Coast Lumberjack does them. Then you got Beaver Tooth and House Handles. And then the Amish handles, it's a tough business to be in. I mean, you got to be, it's almost like you need those economies of scale. But Mountain Men, I will check that out, dude. Yeah, so, I mean, my rule these days, Buckin now is throwing his hat in there. Is he really? What's he doing? Oh, that's right. He has a handle that he does through Liam Hoffman, right? That's pretty cool. I mean, Buckin's a businessman. He knows how to market himself. You know, he really does. And so does Liam. They're both very, very savvy businessmen. So that makes sense. So I'm just dialing this curve in here. He's have you swung one of his handles at all? Does anybody on the chat own a Buckin handle? A Faller's handle, a 31 and a 34. Oh, how do you like it? I bet it's good hickory. I bet it's really good hickory. You know, Buckin seems to actually care about the quality. Hey, what's up, Tony? He cares about the quality of his product, and I think invests quite a bit of time in making sure that it's going to be good. I am going to go and just really curve out this, thin it out, this section of the handle here. I mean, honestly, guys, I had such low expectations for when I went in and did this. And I thought to myself, you know what? If I'm such a fool that I break this handle trying to fix it, at least it was already broken. But it, you know, I don't hate it. It's a little bit. It's okay. It's comfortable. But this is the second saw handle that I've ever made, and it's the only one I've ever modified like this. So I mean, my next one's gonna be better. You know, I'll put it like that. My next one's gonna be better. And this is really nice cherry. You know, part of me is really excited about being able to make something that's really high quality on a really small scale. I want to do just super high quality stuff, small scale, but I also want it to be priced right, which is the tough thing, because you don't find all those three things at once. Let's see. Great quality, great size as a 31. I love it. I have a bluegrass jersey on it, so it's a chopping axe. Nice. I have a bluegrass hammer that I really like. I don't have any bluegrass axes. Saw handles are kind of hard. You know, what I find kind of tough is it's a really long kerf to cut the kerf through the handle, especially on a crosscut saw. It's tough because if you get off on that, it's hard to come back from it. So, I mean, it's not terribly forgiving. But the thing is, this is probably a 150-year-old saw. So, you know, it's paid its dues. I'm just happy I can bring it back because it's sure beautiful. Let's see here. All right. Well, it's nice hanging out with everybody. Thanks for joining me here. This is, man, it's been a rough couple weeks. We're moving, and I'm sorting through all my wood. And I'm to the point where I've sold all the stuff that was going to sell, and I can't give away the remaining stock, which is really too bad. Really too bad. I'm kind of sad about it because it's just, you know, everything that I use is already salvage. So it's if I burn it, it's not like I'm doing something that wasn't already going to happen to it. But it's just a lot of work down the drain there, man. It's been tough to stomach that. But I mean, I got to get rid of it, you know, because it's not worth moving it. It's not quite worth having it moved up there, but at the same time, it's like, man, you just kind of hate to see stuff go to waste. Everybody kind of wanted to cherry pick my nice stuff at like real low prices, because I mean, it's a supply and demand thing. If you need to move it now, you're gonna have to price it, so it's gonna move now. But if you don't need to move it now, you can eventually sell it for what it's actually worth. So I gave a number of people some crazy deals, and it was just a lot of work that I ended up just kind of sending down the creek. Yeah. Yeah, so, but man, once we get to Green Bay, I tell you what, there's a lot of expansion that I want to do. I want to start manufacturing. I want to start an axe. Yeah, it's a shame to lose it. I know, Kurt. I got depressed. You know, I was sitting out there by the fire just like, golly, I was just thinking about the milling it, the chainsaw milling it, bucking it, then milling it, then dimensioning it, planing it. I was just like, but I mean, what else do you do? I mean, I've spent months trying to sell it, and I sold a lot of it. I sold a lot of wood, but tell you what, it's just the way it is, right? You know, you just got to kind of take it on the chin and move on. You know, nothing else you can do. You guys are right. But what I'm doing is clearing out space for a new life once we move. And I'm really excited about that because I'm going to have more space I'm gonna have more. I'm gonna have, you know, maybe a little bit more options. Probably more time too. Man, I love this. I was kind of wondering about this Dexter Russell, but it is such a nice carving knife. I really like it. It's a little bit thick to be a dedicated carving knife, but if you need to carve some stuff, this is, wow, it's fantastic. Man, oh yeah, I want to have livestock once we get to Wisconsin. I want to get the chickens back, and I want to have beef cattle. You know, my grandfather was a rancher. He had a livestock barn, a sale barn where he sold. Well, he auctioned off cattle, and that was, I got to go to a number of auctions that he had when he was still living, and it was so cool. You'd have ranchers that come around from, they'd come from all over the state, and they'd be selling their cattle in his sale barn. It was such a cool culture. I mean, it was really something special, something that you just don't find anymore. Now everything is like direct to the packing house, and usually the rancher doesn't even own the cattle. They're raising them on a contract basis for the packer. Once you get into processing your own beef, you'll never look back. Yeah, I've done lots of deer, and I've done lots of, you know, game, but I've never done a cow, and I want to. It's like real high on my priority list, really high. I can't wait to do it because I am just totally spoiled after having fresh chicken. I'll never go back. I'll never be able to eat chicken from anywhere else again if it's not fresh, because it is so good. And I imagine that beef cattle is kind of the same way. Once it's your cow and all of the meat is coming from one cow and it's been hung right, aged right, treated right. I mean, just, I can't wait for that. Oh yeah, man. Oh, I'll show you how to make it, man. Mountain Man, if you wanna make some of it, yeah. I have a whole video that I shot on doing it. I just need to edit it and upload it. Can take a few days from start to finish to process a cow. Wow. Well, I imagine when it's hundreds and hundreds of pounds of beef, for sure. Oh, tanning. Tanning is another thing I'd like to get into too. I really enjoy tanning. With like, we're farmers up here. Oh yeah, Mountain Man, you have a farm. That's fantastic. Yeah, I got a black oak. I got a black oak that I extracted the tannins from, and it was a really tannin-rich tree. I mean, it was wow. It was super dark. Even for oak, it had a lot of tannins in it. I still have a jar of tannins here. Check this out. So these are the raw, unfiltered tannins that I've got here. And look at this. This is this took me, the work that this took to get. Holy cow. It took days and days and days to get that. From there, I need to filter it, and I need to mix it with all my other stuff. But there's probably another 100 bottles of my axe oil. I just need to find the time. Tanning is hard work. Oh my goodness, it is. I cannot imagine what it's like to do a full cowhide by hand. I mean, holy cow. I've done, raccoons and squirrels and rabbits and just little stuff. I've never done anything real big. Although once I did send out a hide, I did send out one of my deer hides to a guy, and I had him tan the hide, and it's amazing. I love it. So it's coming along okay. I just really want to dial in that curve there. Maybe thin it out a little bit too. The handle's looking a little bit funky, like it's got some character to it. One thing I am going to do, I'm going to bevel these edges here. I've done deer and cowhide rugs and had a go at buckskin as well. Making buckskin out of a whole cowhide is tough. Whoa, I can't imagine what that would be like. Yeah, that's wild. I mean, tanning it's so manual. It's shockingly, labor, like your body, you're scraping, you're pulling, you're rubbing, you're squeezing, you're wringing it out. I mean, it's like a full body workout. It is. I will never ever complain about anybody wanting a good price for, maybe they're a trapper and they're selling a coon skin, or a wolf or a fox, or a coyote, something like that. It's like, yeah, $100 for a beaver pelt, like worth it, man. I mean, once you appreciate what goes into stuff and how to make it, I mean, tanning is unbelievable work. I think I'm going to use the Shinto. I think I curved out maybe, well, I don't know. I don't want to lose it. I think I just need to even it out a little bit. I think it's just a little bit lumpy right now. Just got to even it out some. But, there will never be another company that makes crosscut saws the way that they used to be made. All the crosscut saws, I did a little bit of research on it. They're all flat. They're all flat ground. Lee Nielsen for a while made crosscut saws that were tapered, but they didn't make them very long. And I think they found out that the price that it took to make them properly tapered, no, there just wasn't the market for it. There are three kinds of saw grinds. Like, if you ever hear people talk about saws and they maybe like the technology and the history, there's tapered, which is the teeth. It's thicker on the bottom, thinner on top. That way you're cutting a larger curve on the bottom, and there's space for the top of your spine. It doesn't bind. And then there's flat grind, which is one consistent thickness throughout the whole plate. And then there's crescent taper ground, which is like your old, this is like your old crosscut bucking saw. And this is actually, so they have to be crescent taper ground, which means it's tapered, but in kind of a dish shape. And so the teeth are a consistent thickness the whole way across. It helps with binding. Yeah, making a tapered saw that size would be crazy expensive. Yeah, and I think that's what Lee Nielsen found, is it just didn't make sense to produce this saw because it costs $500, and you can go down to your antique store and spend, I mean, you can get a really nice minty crosscut saw for like $100. I mean, like basically new old stock. Beautiful, etching still clear as day. So it just, for a lot, there's enough saws out there for people who want a really nice crosscut saw. And so I think this is dead technology. I don't think there will ever be a company that makes crosscut saws the way that they really should be made. I mean, what's the market for a crescent ground, a tapered crescent ground bucking saw? Like, maybe you have some timber sports guys, but like that's kind of it. Yeah, it's coming. It's still a little bit lumpy. This is an old Nicholson. I really, really do like it. It is super, super nice. You know what? I tell you what. I'll put this on the saw. Here. Come on.